Good morning. Happy week 17 for those of you that are still playing for something. Happy holidays to everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Jake, how are you doing this morning? I know you've been busy with lots of Festivus activities, so
That's right, Festivus for the rest of us. It's been good. It's been very, very good. Family time, kids, joy on their face, opening the presents. And, I was telling you before we started, I made 4 fantasy finals this year out of 7 leagues. And it's a great feeling, in week 16. But then when your teams start to fall apart or you make the wrong lineup decisions in week 17, then it all comes crashing back down. But you know what? It was a fun ride along the way. And who knows? Crazy stuff happens every week. So how about you?
doing well. Yeah, like you said, lots of joy. Hopefully we have some joy on some managers' faces this morning, or maybe even after Monday night's game. We'll see where starting sits go this week. But yeah, it's been a great holiday season. I was in 6 leagues this year, made it to the championships in 3 of them. Probably going to bring home 2 titles. One is T. Higgins is running against T. Higgins, and Lad McConkey yesterday was kind of a tough pill to swallow. So yeah, but we'll see. There's a chance. Chip in a chair, right? So kind of an interesting week, Jake. We've got, it's a slow, painful death in that one league for me, because we started this week on Wednesday. We had a couple games on Wednesday. We had the Thursday night. I guess you can call that a game. And then yesterday, we had the 3 games yesterday. So it's kind of been like this, like agonizing, like over your startup decisions, just
Mhm.
based on, all of this time that you have to look at it. So,
Right.
maybe that'll help and hurt, some decisions. Maybe we need home runs in some decisions, or just need some layups in others. So
Right.
let's get into the questions this morning. We're looking at helping out any way we can offensive, so specifically on the defensive side of the ball. So if you need to, you can always super check, get those questions bumped up ahead. Um, let's dive right in here, Jake. Sebastian needs to know, is he going to start Cameron Bynum, Dane Belton, or Terrion Johnson? And then he's got a defensive back or a defensive lineman question between Trayvon Walker and Buckner. So maybe we go the defensive line question first. Fewer options there. We got Walker playing up against the Tennessee Titans and their turnstile offensive line, or Buckner and the Indianapolis Colts going up against the New York Giants, which isn't a terrible matchup either. So, Jake, if you had to choose between those two, I know where I'm leaning.
Gosh, I my gut tells me Buckner, right? And that's just because he's had consistent production throughout his this season, his career, right? Like so, and he's uber talented, but it is a very positive matchup for Walker, and he's had a pretty strong year himself. So I think I like Buckner as a better floor, and with still some upside, and Walker would probably be like, if you're just totally swinging for huge upside, that would be my play then.
Yeah, and I'm leaning Walker in this one, just with the Tennessee offensive line has been a line that we've been attacking the last several weeks. They have several holes along that line, so it just makes an opportunity game. Game script might be an issue, and not sure which offense is going to take control there, but somebody has to have the ball. So there. So looking at his defensive back question, starting one with Bynum, Belton, or Terrion Johnson. So we get the big matchup for Bynum versus the Packers tonight, or this afternoon, I guess. Belton is taking on the Indianapolis Colts, and then Terrion Johnson gets to match up against the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. Here for me, if you need a home run swing, I'm swinging Belton for my home run swing. But if I need a safe floor, I'm gonna actually go Terrion Johnson here. Just the Packers haven't been a great matchup for opposing defensive backs over the last few weeks, so I'm gonna lean Belton here. If I need a home run, Terrion Johnson, safe floor.
Yep, I completely agree with that. I mean, you as a Packers fan, you know how well established Josh Jacobs is in that offense, and I know Vikings have a good run defense. So there's a chance they funnel more to the pass, but that's just not a chance I'm willing to take here. So
Yeah, and I heard that Ivan Pace is coming back this week, so that might give fewer chances for those plays to get to the secondary too. So not that that's a game changer, but is what it is. Good luck to you, Sebastian. Hopefully, we'll get that one right for you. Chris has a couple questions here, looking for some options at defensive line questions. So if DJ Woonem doesn't play against the Panthers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a league that gets 1 for a solo, half point for an assist, 4 for a sack, 3 for a tackle for a loss, 0 for a QB hit. But then we've got the Packers defense and 6. Yeah, right. Got to change that scoring, Chris. Looking at some pivot moves here as far as defensive linemen go. So again, like we mentioned before, we've got a ton of games already being played. We'll have 6 games under our belt already. So we only have 9 today and then 1 tomorrow to choose from. And so if one of them isn't an option here, Jake, obviously you can head over to the IDP Show website and check out Scott's Professor IDP's streaming article as a pivot move. Again, not knowing the size of the league, how many players you start, Chris, that might kind of sway who the names are. But
that's it's really tough without understanding that. But I mean, I'm gonna just throw a name out there, Caleb Chason.
That's exactly what I was pivoting to.
Yeah, very underknown or not well known name in terms of his career arc here, but he's been a little bit revitalized with Las Vegas Raiders with Crosby getting injured. He's playing 90% of the snaps. I think he had a pick 3-4 weeks ago. He registered a sack a couple weeks ago, so might be someone that can volume his way to a successful day for you, and is showing a little bit of big play upside and might just be under the radar. I'm struggling.
Yeah, at this point we just need volume. We need volume of plays. So, and he has a pretty decent matchup too, versus the Saints. They've been giving up some sacks, and Spencer Rattler's been prone to that.
Onto the ball.
Another name might be Yaya Diaby, might be a name if he's available. That could be an option for you, Chris. So, good luck to you. Hopefully, we throw out some names. Go check out Scott's article over on the IDP Show website. Great article, great resource.
Another one. D'Angelo Malone of the Falcons, a deeper name, right? Again, just not knowing the depth of the free agency or the waiver wires there. So for the Falcons, that is, he's got a decent matchup against the Commanders.
Yep. All right. Frosty C's got a question here. Good morning. Starting 2, Terrion Johnson, Josh Metellus, Ugu Amadi, or TK Smith. Appreciate it. So some good names, a lot of good waiver finds here in the mix.
Yep. The Terran's in for me, right? Like out of those guys, no matter what. So really, I mean, Metellus would be a smash start if Ivan Pace was not coming back this week or likely to play into the rotation. I don't feel great about Carolina's 11 personnel usage too, so I might lean Ugo Amadi on this one. I think they might use him a lot on Brock Bowers.
Yep. Yeah, and he's been a hot play the last couple of weeks as well too. He's been very consistent with the usage has been there. The alignment has been there for him. He's been playing a lot of those inline snaps that we just adore from our corner position. So I'm going to go with that one there as well. I agree. Amadi and Johnson. The Tampa Bay Bucs secondary has been one that's been just decimated with injuries, and it's really tough to trust who's going to be there. I know that they just put Winfield's probably going to be out, but then they just put Izine on IR this week. So you would think that would open up some snaps, but then you got Kayvon Merriweather is still there for Tampa Bay. Smith is still there,
Edwards
and then
is healthy. Jordan Whitehead, I think, is a questionable coming into this game. So
Yep. Jordan Whitehead's pushing to come back, so it's just kind of a tricky mess there. So, okay. All right, let us continue on. Hopefully that helps you out for ICC. Appreciate the questions all season long. Robert's got a question here. Need a home run. So these are a little easier for us because we know we're good for upside. We got Darius Masao, Luke Gifford, and Eric Wilson. I'm currently starting Warner, Campbell, Cashman, and Wagner. Would you swap out any of these top 3 guys?
Nothing, jumps off the page for me. I mean, Gifford's one I would consider has a chance to really make a splash potentially in that matchup in a toilet bowl type game between the Jags and the Titans, but I don't see anyone in a really poor matchup there. Cashman should eat. Um, Wagner should too, and Campbell I think is a really solid matchup as well.
Yeah, it's almost kind of this paralysis by analysis. Like we got to start our studs. Warner's been a guy that's been coming on as of late. There was a couple weeks ago possibility of sitting him, but Campbell should have a pretty decent matchup this week. Cashman, Packers are going to run the ball quite a bit. They've been pretty fruitful for opposing teams, and then it's kind of tough to always sit Bobby Wagner. He's always just been a constant, and he should see a lot of Bijan Robinson this week. And I can't see any upside above, with Gifford or Darius there to start one of those two. So I think we're just going to stick with what you got, Robert, and best of luck to you. Hope it brings you a championship. Ant has a very similar question, needing 3 of these, and we got Gifford, Masao, Speed, Cashman, and Woonham. So, let's see, 3 points for a tackle. So that's a very good scoring league here, Ant. We love to see that from our defensive side of the ball. For me, if I need a high floor play, I'm gonna go. If we need a high floor play, I'm gonna go with Cashman, Gifford, and Speed. If I need a home run, I'm probably going to swing for the fences and start everyone that's not a normal starter there. Gifford, Massa, and Woonham is going to be my home run swing just for high upside there. So Jake, looking at this question here, needing 3 points for a tackle, you need 3 of those linebackers. Anything different than... So some pretty great options considering, we're in week 17. So.
Yep. Gosh, I'm sorry, I had a little issue there with connection. Is it who did you roll with?
If I needed a floor play, I was going to go with Cashman, Speed, and Gifford. But if I needed a home run, I'm going to go with the 3 guys that you probably picked off of waivers over the last couple of weeks with Gifford, Massa, and Woonham. Because with Josie Jewell, Woonham should have free roll or free run there. So. Yeah,
I think I'm with you on the first 2. When I'm a little nervous with, I agree with the upside potential, but I just even his upside potential feels a little capped to me. Just lack of seeing him do it right. At least all the other guys we've Gifford, Masao, we've seen him do it here the last few weeks at times. So, but yeah, I'm definitely on Gifford, Masao for the upside. Speed's always tough. He does well a lot, but Zaire's there to siphon away plenty of the work too, and same for Cashman now with Pace coming back. So, I think I'm in complete agreement with you. I'd probably lean Speed, Cashman, and probably Gifford as my gut call, and then if you need that big swing, I'm with you.
And some of this might be answered for you depending on if Speed's knee is good to go today too. I know he still has that questionable tag going into today's game. So if Speed is out, then it's an even easier option for you to do. So like Jake said, maybe we just rank them, and if Woonham is the last guy on the totem pole here, and then you decide, if Speed is out, that might make your decision a little easier. So good luck to you there, Ant. Good luck on making it to the championship. Yes, you sound amazing, Jake. As always, even without a microphone. All right, so let's get back into the questions here. Chef Curry needs a defensive back with Delpit and Metellus. So
Delpit pretty easily for me, just with Ivan Pace coming back.
So what's sell me on Delpit.
I mean, heavy box usage, right? I know the numbers aren't there, so it's more a play on utilization than it is, overall production. I know Delpit hasn't really given us too many splash plays. I know he recorded a sack last week, 2 weeks ago. So we have that there. Metellus just, I struggle in a championship week where I need that guy, right? Like he could potentially be, back around 90% snap count, because they have. Well, I guess now I'm blanking. Is Harrison Smith out? Now I got to check that, or what's his designation? He should see 100% if Harrison Smith's out. So now I got to double check that one. Then it becomes a little bit closer for me if he's at least getting 100%, even if he's taking some of the snaps deep. But Harrison Smith was 2 full participations on Thursday, Friday with no game designation. So it's something where the last few weeks, right, Metellus has been a revelation in the sense that he's basically the second linebacker, getting 60-70% box utilization. But I just fear that he's going to get more of the slot utilization, which isn't as great as the linebacker role that he had been playing. And he's going to rotate some deep snaps too, because that's just what they do between all 3 safeties at times. And I think there's going to be times where he comes off the field with pace out there. And again, it's just, like a 90-95% utilization. It's not something we should be scared of, and we can't have him in our lineup. I feel better about the guy who's gonna be 100% out there with 50% of them coming in the box, and especially Miami, right? I mean, everything's boom, boom, boom right there in the middle of the field. Heavy dose of Achane, and I think that's where safeties that are playing in the box like Delpit can capitalize on a matchup. So.
Does it worry you if Tua doesn't play? Is that offense going to be
lack of sustained drives? I don't know. It could be something where it's a battle of 3 and outs, though, right? If DTR's on the other side, so maybe it's not sustained drives, but it's a plenty of opportunities in 3 and out situations. So I think there's very real concerns with what you're saying. My gut is too strong towards Delpit, so it's a pretty easy start for me.
I've just never been behind Delpit all season. He just has everything in his favor. Like, players in front of him go down. He has snap share. We have everything that we want in a player, but he just doesn't have the stats to do it. And Metellus has been a guy over the last several weeks, like you said, has been doing it. And last year he was the guy. He was, so I think maybe floor play is Delpit. If you need a little upside, maybe Metellus is your option there, Curry. So best of luck to you. Hopefully we confuse you even further. So Robert had that question where you had the plethora of linebackers, and he was going to probably swap out Wagner here. I understand the logic there, especially I think is because obviously Okereke is on IR, and is McFadden out this week as well?
Let me take a quick peek. See if they have anything official on their report. Come on, internet. McFadden. Holy cow, do they have an injury report? McFadden is officially designated out. So Masao is your green dot, 100%.
And going up against Indy, we should probably see a lot of Jonathan Taylor this week because Anthony Richardson is out. Flacco is under center. I could support that. I mean, I don't think that there's a wrong answer here with that.
I mean, eventually there will be, right? When we look at the box scores at the end of the game.
Yeah, tomorrow there'll be an answer. Tomorrow there'll be an answer, unless they both score 16 points.
True. Yeah.
Or unless they pull a Dan Henley like yesterday and get a 0 for. Oh my god. Yeah.
Don't remind me. I started them.
I guess I'm here again, Robert. I'm going to go floor play is. Safe high floor is Wagner because he's just going to be consistent. He's going to be your 4 or 5 tackle guy, depending on your scoring, get you 10, 12 points. Mm-hmm. And then if we pivot and we go with Masao here, I think that could be a little higher upside play. I think he offers a little bit more. Going up against Indy, they might have control the clock a little bit more, so you're going to see a few more opportunities there. Washington's offense is a little better, I think, so they're going to hold the ball a little longer, so they'll have the clock things going for them in their favor. So maybe you kind of talk me into it. I'm gonna pivot there for you, go a little upside.
So how about a fun little thought here? Darius Masao, right? 100% snaps last week. eight solos, 3 assists against a strong team in Atlanta, right? So now Washington, Bobby Wagner gets to take on a strong team like Atlanta in terms of their matchup. So I mean, what Masao just feasted on, Wagner's got the same opportunity. So I get it, though. There's a lack of talent in New York, so it's easier for other people to kind of rise to the top. So I agree. I think the ceiling's there for him over Wagner, but I love Wagner's floor, just consistently what he can give us. And I think we're going to see a steady dosage of Bijan, which is going to give Wagner the opportunity to do what he's done, and that's rack up tackles. So
fair point. I was just kind of thinking about, is it more indicative of Atlanta's offense giving those players opportunities, or is it those defenses making Atlanta look better than they really were?
This is true.
Yeah. So I don't think Lattimore is playing, so that might open up the passing game a little bit more for Atlanta. So we'll kind of see. So long answer, Robert. We're going to stick with Wagner. If you need floor play, but you need that upside, maybe you pivot there. So Summer, good morning. She needs one of these linebackers between Jordan Brooks, Blake Cashman, or Warner. Henley killed me yesterday, so I need the upside. Thanks. So you are not alone in that. You go from the tackle machine, the tackle, big old goose egg. So maybe there'll be a stat correction. You'll get a tackle or something here. Come later on. So yeah, but let's get back to Summer's question here. Looking at this, Jake, Jordan Brooks has been a huge play here for the Dolphins going up against Cleveland.
Yep. I like Fred Warner, though. I think Detroit's going to just control that game. Warner's going to see plenty of snaps, and I don't know if Greenlaw's going to be out there. Obviously, Devondre Campbell's not going to be out there. So D. Winters, great, young player, could really do some things potentially here for IDP. But I mean, Warner's just been absorbing everything in the middle, and I think that he's set up for a huge game potentially.
Yep. And the other part of that too, I know that Scott's a big fan of this, is having somebody to look forward to. Like, I have a player on Monday night, so I still got a chance. It makes it, it's just kind of, just kind of, and it's a player like Warner who has that upside to like make it a 24, 25 point swing if you need it. So there's still a chance, so it just kind of gives it that chance. And like you said, Jake, Detroit should dominate this game, regardless if David Montgomery's in or not. They've shown that they want to run the ball. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities there. So like that call. Good luck to you, Summer. Hope that gets you the win. Jonah has, hello, good morning. I need to pick 2 wide receivers on a flex. Devontae Adams, Juwan Jennings, Spears, Khalil Shakir, Thielen, Garindo, Drake London, standard league championship game. So no PPR here. Devontae Adams has been on a heater. You gotta play him. And then I'm looking for the next guy of a wide receiver that's gonna more than likely score a touchdown. Is it Thielen or Drake London? Penix scares me. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that he was definitely looking towards Mooney and London, right? He was targeting them, right? So I still like London just because he does enough work out of the slot, right? He's like that big power slot type. So I know Penix has the arm to push it to the far side of the field or the outside of the field on longer throws too. But I just think this is something where London gets going, and I think he finds his way into the end zone for that matchup. So Jennings maybe, but I don't know. The offense just seems to be coming apart at the seams right now, and I think it's just been a long season for them that hasn't worked out. So yeah, I'm Adams, London, and then Spears is a smash in the flex. So
yep, especially with Pollard out. So right on board. Good luck to you, Jonah. Pat Q34, good morning. Thoughts on Ivan Pace usage for today? Me personally, I mean, he's only a guy that I would want to start in a league that starts maybe 5 linebackers or more, coming off an injury. Even before the injury, he wasn't 100% snap guy. He was hovering right around that 80% snap share. So I think he's a better boost for the real defense for the Vikings rather than in your fantasy lineups this week. So
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I'm not starting them unless you absolutely have to. And even then, I would want to know what's on your waivers first, right? Some things where some people like Luke Gifford maybe sneaks through the cracks, right? I don't know what the Titans stuff looks like too. I mean, maybe Otis Reese is even out there, right? Like honestly, if the injuries aligned correctly for the Titans, I'd rather be playing, 100% or 80% Otis or 90% Otis Reese over Pace, just because his normal 70-80% might be down at 50% because they're a playoff team, right? They're not going to rush him back. For the sake of a championship week in IDP leagues here.
It is a big matchup versus the Packers, though, so they do want that win. They want Jameis
Right.
Winston eating those dubs, yeah. Good luck to you, Pat. Summer has a question: Zach Sealer or Rousseau at the defensive lineman position? So 2 great options. Sealer has just been on fire the last several weeks. I think he's got like a sack or a half a sack in like 5 of the last 6 games or something like that. He's just been a beast. But Rousseau gets a great matchup versus the Jets.
Zyler.
I see what you did there. That's why you're here. That's why you're here on championship week, Jake. You can't get that kind of commentary just anywhere. So,
oh god, I mean,
I'm going to go Rousseau here against the Jets.
Yeah. I mean, Rousseau is such a good play, and it's a good matchup against the Jets too. I mean, they're both good matchups.
Tiebreaker for me is exterior versus interior defensive line. So,
right, yeah, unless you get some big boost, like he's a defensive tackle designation, right, and there's like premium scoring for that, for tackles or something. But otherwise, yeah, Rousseau would be who my gut is, and matchup leads me to tend to favor there.
Perf. Good luck to you, Summer. Kyle, Adrian Cooper or Hicks at linebacker? Thank you, guys. Hope you had a great holiday. We did. At least I did. I know. So,
I mean, this has got a Packers guy in it. I got to let you lead the way.
I'm going to go with Hicks, just playing in a better position. Cooper kind of rotation there a little bit. We've got kind of a hodgepodge of linebackers going in with Eric Wilson's there. Quay Walker might be back. So, it's just kind of like this hot, heated mess. Cooper's not playing like ideal 100% of snaps yet. And I'm going to take Hicks.
Quay Walker is out. He was designated out.
Oh.
He's officially out. Yep. So is Evan Williams, Jair, and Andre Dillard. Doesn't matter. So does that change your thoughts at all?
Well, even with Walker out last week, he only played 70% of snaps. So he's still not drawing like the kind of that cutoff of 90% snaps that we really love out of our players, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Meanwhile, Hicks has been 90% or more in every game since returning from injury. So just give me the volume. I'm always chasing volume here. So
question back to you, right? Same one to me. You're like, well, what about that matchup? Are you concerned about it not being a positive matchup? So even in a potentially negative volume matchup against the Dolphins, you still like that more than Cooper, who's made big plays. And this is just me playing devil's advocate because I actually agree with you, but I just want to.
No, and the reason I asked that, Jake, is with the linebackers, I feel safer about a bad matchup.
Right.
Whereas a defensive back that hasn't really done it this season and dealt it is the reason with that. Was why I was kind of poking the bear a little bit there. But with like a player like Hicks, who's closer to the line of scrimmage, more than likely going to be the green dot. He's going to be in a position to make some plays there. And Cooper's still young. He's still green. He's going to get out of position on plays. He's coming off the field 30% of the time. Whereas, Hicks is a seasoned vet. He's going to be able to read and diagnose plays pretty well. So that's why I'm going to go Hicks here. Good luck to you, Kyle. Piper, would you start Adrian Cooper? Maybe he's our player of the day. Adrian Cooper, Sherwood, or Rousseau? This is pretty easy for me. It's going to be Sherwood 100%.
Yeah, I mean, Rousseau's, I think, closer for me maybe than what you're thinking. But, Sherwood's 100%. I mean, he's done it plenty of times. I get he's burned us a little bit here. If you've made it in spite of him and some of his lesser performances and what he's shown us, what he can do throughout the rest of the season. But against the Bills, how can you not start him? That offense should be rolling, I would think, for the Bills, and Sherwood should have plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, it's the Bills' offense has really gotten Cooks involved lately, and I think that's helped their offense, sustain drives, but also like big play, like it's made their offense more efficient. So hopefully they stick with that. It'll give Sherwood a lot of opportunities. So good luck to you, Piper. Mr. Garcia has a couple questions here. Yeah, Chuba disaster here is a flex. Do I pick up Josh Downs, Jalen Coker, Okonkwo, Wicks, or which Panther linebacker? So, I don't mind Blackshear as a pivot here. I think he's going to get probably the volume of play. I know that Mike Boone might be stealing Little Thunder here, but Josh Downs is pretty intriguing with Flacco under center.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, let's go with Josh Downs with Flacco under center.
That's where my read is here too. Honestly, my second, I'd probably lean into Wicks here a little bit, just because it's a good passing matchup for them against the Vikings. And I mean, if you're looking at this kind of decision in your lineups, if you didn't have Downs, I'd go Wicks for that big play upside, right? He's a guy who can make a difference in one play for you. I get he's had his ups and downs this year, but yeah, with Flacco and you got to go Josh Downs in my opinion.
Yeah. And then looking at a super flex, need two of these linebackers: Flacco, Bryce Young, Kyle Rudolph, not Kyle Rudolph, Mason Rudolph. That's his brother, and then Michael Penix.
It's Flacco if this is the same one, going Downs.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, because it's both. Yep. So, yep, I guess that's true. People could be in multiple leagues, right? So, I mean, I'm going to assume it's the same league. To me, I'm stacking then, right? Because you want the variance upside in championship week. You're playing for the win. You're not playing to not lose. So, I'm going Flacco there. If someone's going to question something afterwards, if it's a different league, to me, then I would go Mason Rudolph because that's a really plus matchup against the Jags. But assuming this is the same one with Downs, it's Flacco for me.
Yep. Yeah, I like that idea of a stack too, especially if it's the same league. Should be a positive game script too in that one. There should be plenty of opportunity for Flacco. Moose Jaw, good morning, fellas. If EJ Speed doesn't play, which we'll know by noon, which is great, should I go off waivers and grab Jordan Hicks, Carlise, or Wyndham? How are we feeling about Luvu?
I mean, Carlise is the easy one just to swap in and out, right, for your lineup there, and likely possibly there, because I mean no one really was rostering him unless you got the deepest of leagues there. But if you have access to Jordan Hicks too, like I would definitely go with that. I kind of said Wyndham's I'm a little hesitant about, so and Luvu overall, he's a big play machine, right? He's lived and thrived off it all year. Atlanta's got a good offensive line though, so I'm a little hesitant to be excited about his upside, but I like him better than some of those waiver wire options there too. So
yeah, no, I'm gonna probably. Would you start Jordan Hicks over EJ Speed?
If EJ Speed is a full healthy designation, right? Like if they're just like he's active, there's nothing coming out of the Indianapolis Colts camp to lead us to feel like he's going to be limited or there's going to be a rotation, I'm starting EJ Speed. I think Jordan Hicks is still a good linebacker and he's a good option this week. Speed has done it consistently for the last 2 years. So,
yep, agree. My starting linebackers are Baun, EJ Speed, and Luvu at the moment. Thankfully, I didn't start Ernest Jones. So, so let's play devil's advocate here with Luvu. Do we start Hicks for Luvu?
To me, no. Just because I like what he's got for roster construction here, right? Like, so in a vacuum, maybe I think I'd lean more closely to that. But he's got Baun and Speed, who I think are two great floor plays. Baun has amazing upside this year, right? Like, I mean, he's put together some of the most impressive stats in terms of what he's produced for tackles and sack upside and everything. So I think you have a great floor between both of them with some really positive upside injected. And then I love having that Frankie Luvu, right? Goes and makes a sack, right? Or a 2-sack game or something crazy, right? Which he's shown us he can do. And I mean, then you're winning your week, right? Because you have that massive upside injected into your lineup, but you could also survive a 4-tackle game and a quarterback hit from Luvu because you have those other guys. So again, that's me playing to win in week 17 versus, you know, hey, I'm just going to play it safe.
Yeah.
But I mean, if your lineup is, your matchup looks that favored towards you and you want it, you're like, I'm going to play ultra conservative. I'm totally down with Hicks going into your lineup if that's the ideal roster construction you're looking for.
Well, hopefully that's the option there for Moonshot. One Nation here. We got IDP scoring. Need 2 defensive linemen: Adam Butler, Ashawn Robinson, Chauncey Golston, or Calais Campbell.
That's a tough one. It's deep too. I mean, they all got really relatively positive matchups. Where's the Cowboys here? Philadelphia. Yeah. Golston's looked good with Micah Parsons back and at full strength too. This is a good one. God darn you, One Nation.
Yeah, Butler wouldn't have put up a goose egg last week. He would have been an auto for me.
Yeah,
but he put up 0 points last week.
I think Golston is the one I feel most confident in putting in there, even though he probably has the least overall positive matchup in terms of the offensive line matchup. I just like his utilization and what he's been able to produce regardless. I'm really struggling with 2 here. Trying to pull up their usage quick here. I don't know. Do you have a strong feeling about any player? I mean, are you in on Golston at all, or you don't like
he was one of my he was one of the 2 for me for sure. Campbell's probably a safe 4th for me. And then I was kind of deciding, like, if Butler would have done anything last week versus Jacksonville, he would have been in. But Robinson, last time he played Tampa, he had 6 tackles. So I think I'm going to lean that way. I'm going to go Golston and Robinson.
I do too, and just his snap count and utilization, right? I mean, the guy is he's out there. I mean, this is what he's taking the Derek Brown role, right? And he's feasted on the opportunities he's had. Not the same level of Derek Brown, but yeah, it's Golston and Robinson for me. Getting a closer look at the numbers.
And this game should be like sneaky competitive too. Carolina's played exceptionally well over the last couple of weeks, only losing a couple games by like less than a field goal. So they're definitely trending up. Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago probably thought this was a cupcake win in week 17, but now it's going to be a little more competitive. I think it'll be pretty balanced, and you're going to see your studs out there the entire game. So I'm going to go Robinson and Golston there for me. So Vinny's got a 16-teamer needing some cornerbacks. Dejon and Jordan Lewis, but worry about pass volume.
So I don't know if he's just looking for our gut feel on that.
Names? Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean that's deep, right? I mean, if you're talking 16 team, you're starting 2 corners. Gosh, that's right. I would definitely go to Johnny the Greek's. Cornerback corner. Like he goes through everyone and gives you really plus matchups there. But in the moment, I mean, I don't have massive concerns about Cooper DeJean. Cowboys run enough 11 personnel out there that he should see plenty of usage. And then if you have any return bonuses, DeJean will add that in. Jordan Lewis, I got to double check their situation quick. But if you have thoughts on him.
Yeah, the only thing with Lewis is if the Cowboys going up against Kenny Pickett, is that going to be a little bit different with Philly? That Philly is not going to look that same. I mean, they still have to pass. They're still going to throw. He's still going to be the guy there that's going to be probably, looking at the better matchup there. Yeah, I guess, Vinny, not knowing who your options are to pivot to, like Jake said, head over to the IDP Show website, look at Johnny's article streaming option. He goes super deep, and he's amazingly successful at picking out those diamonds in the rough every week. So,
right. Yeah, sorry. I mean, if you throw some names in chat, Vinny, we definitely can give you our thoughts on them. Like who's out on your waiver wire right now that you could grab. But yeah, I feel like I would just be throwing darts blindly otherwise for you, and I don't want to waste your time.
Yeah. Yep. War Clouds, Cashman or Foy, 3 points for bonus for a 10-point, 3-point bonus for a 10 combo tackle day. I probably think Foy is probably the better option here to hit that, just with Ivan Pace coming back.
Yep.
We kind of already mentioned the matchup a little bit with the Packers. That should be decent for Cashman.
Yep.
Just curious how many times Cashman has hit that over the last couple weeks here.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm with
Cashman.
you too. I just think that Tennessee has shown that they can actually move the ball with some regularity here with Mason Rudolph consistently. So I'm only seeing like twice or three times this year he's hit that.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4 times. Excuse me, 4 times all year where Cashman's hit the 10 plus. I don't know what Foye
And I
is.
know
Obviously
Foy's had a couple down
games.
weeks here.
He's 1, 2, 3, 4 as well, but he's also played a couple less games too. So, I mean, percentages wise, Foye is more likely. So,
yep,
I just like the matchup better for Foye too, I think.
Yep, I'm with you. We're starting Foye here, Cashman. Foye over Cashman.
Yep.
Sebastian needs 2 of these options for a flex: Devontae Adams, Terry McLaurin, Bucky Irvin, or Brian Thomas Jr. Whew.
God, I feel Bucky's in for me. I love his matchup against the Panthers, and he's, in my opinion, the clear lead back. I mean, Rashad White's still doing plenty, right? They're each averaging like 15 points per game PPR. I just like Bucky for that and the touchdown upside. This is tough. BTJ's just been getting peppered with Mac Jones at quarterback, so and I think they're going to be playing from behind. So I think the game script is really good for BTJ. So I think I go Bucky BTJ.
I'm with you, and especially in a PPR, like you said, he's just getting peppered with targets, especially late. So
yeah,
we're gonna go garbage time scoring with Brian Thomas Jr. and Bucky Irvin. So need 2 of these linebackers. We got Jamie and Sherwood, Blake Cashman, or Darius Mossaw.
Sherwood for me is in.
Yep.
It's really a coin flip for me between Cashman and Darius. I probably lean Cashman just because I like Flores' scheme where I think he could get an opportunity to land a big play for a sack or something like that. Whereas Darius, I'm not confident in that in the Giants defense. So I think that's, like I said, they're very close, just straight up in a vacuum for me, Cashman, Masao. But I think I lean Cashman slightly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna lean that way as well, just with the matchup of with against Packers that you're gonna see a lot of Josh Jacobs. He had 11 tackles the last time they played the Packers, so
yeah,
no reason not to mess with that. So good luck to you, Nation. Gucci Flips got Tyreek Hill or Jacoby Myers in a half-point PPR. Man, this is ugly just because, possibly no Tua. Tyreek Hill has been playing with a broken hand since, forever. It seems like now it come out. So I'm probably going to go the floor of Myers over Hill because Hill could easily put up a goose egg, not be involved in the passing game at all and stuff like that. So I'm going to go Jacoby Myers here pretty safely for me.
Yeah, I'm laughing because of the fact that we're even asking this question, right? Like week 1, you're taking Tyreek as a top 6 guy in a lot of redraft stuff, and now it's like, what are we looking at here? God, yeah, I think I'm taking Hill as a boom play if that's what my matchup is dictating for me or my gut's telling me. But Myers is sadly the better, safer play for me overall. So.
And maybe that's how you decide, are you chasing? Got to go Hill, there's no next week. So,
right.
So Scott needs a safety replacement with Hooker out of a 16-teamer. So we're going to go with Kendall Brooks or Mike Edwards. And
I think the hardest thing for me is is I don't have a great feel for Kendall Brooks out there, right? Like so Edwards I've seen do enough, so it just feels like the safer play. But I also don't know what the Panthers are going to look like without Chuba back there, right? Like if Chuba was back there, I'd say like, yeah, I feel confident that Edwards and that Bucks defense will get enough of opportunity to tackle floor. I mean, I just I don't know what that offense is going to look like there either. So there's a lot of uncertainty. So I think this is a great question. I think I lean Edwards just because I'm afraid that Mac Jones won't even be able to do enough to give Kendall Brooks the opportunity to be great this week. That's my honest concern. Like to me, so I lean like 55-45 Mike Edwards on this one.
So Mike Edwards hasn't done anything all season, really. I mean, so playing devil's advocate here,
Yep.
do we take the high upside play with Brooks because the floor with Edwards is so low? You know, do we just be like, you know, if Edwards gets us 1 or 2 points, big deal. Do I take the Kendall Brooks piece and say, you know what? My floor is so low anyway. The difference between Edwards is 3 or 4 points and Kendall Brooks is 0 points. If I could have the upside of Brooks of maybe smashing this week, like you said, you know, you're playing week 17 to win. You're not playing it to advance. So
Yeah,
I'm going to probably take the lotto ticket in Brooks here and just, especially in a 16 teamer, like, you know, you're looking at some names that are, you know, their moms don't even know they're playing on Sundays. So I'm going to go with Brooks on this one. So
yeah, I think you might have sold me on it. I'm just looking here now at the injury report again because Merriweather's active. I mean, I know we talked about this earlier, and kind of, you know, Whitehead's going to be. He was a full participant, but still carried questionables. But
Smith will be involved.
Brooks is probably going to be the 100% guy. So I mean, it's the uncertainty of saying. I feel bad saying for Scott, right? Like, hey, Brooks is the guy because we think he's going to be out there the whole time, and then they end up doing some sort of rotation, right? Because they want to see X other player out there. But I think you're right. We rolled the dice there with Brooks.
We'll consult the Magic 8 Ball.
Right.
Yeah. Future not looking good. Good luck to you, Scott.
I must have shook it then.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was your turn with it. All right, Workloads has got another one. You guys got any locks this week on home run plays at linebacker or defensive lineman? Well, if we knew that, we probably would be in other places. Deion Henley was a lock this week against a really run heavy Patriots team, and that didn't come to fruition at all. Locks.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say anybody along the Jacksonville Jaguars defensive line. Josh Allen might be a great play this week against Josh Hines Allen. Sorry, against the guy. I had to get right. So for the brand, going up against that turnstile offensive line that Tennessee has might be a lock there. As far as linebackers go, like if Henley can't be a lock for us yesterday, I don't know. Can we say like like a Zaire Franklin, a Caden Ellis type player? So.
Right. Yeah, I mean Zaire's been that pretty consistent for us all year, right? Zach Bond's been one that I love his matchup, and then he's produced massively this year for us. So I mean, yeah, I guess I don't know if we're talking like prop bets here type smash. I mean, are you just looking for like what are we trying to bet against or look against here? So
yeah.
Sorry, I know that's a pretty ambiguous answer, War Clouds. If there's more you want to add to that, happy to try and include. What's that?
Yeah. It's kind of an ambiguous question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you throw out some names at like some plays, this or that, maybe we can help you out. But just kind of looking at who we think are locks, it's a crazy game. So you're most welcome, Piper. Appreciate the questions. Yeah, we have no idea what happened to Henley yesterday with the games. He played every snap. He just wasn't a recipient of any of those tackles. So
I think he made one and then it was called back on a penalty.
Okay. So he had the ability to make plays. He just was not making those plays. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure that'll be a discussion all week long. He was one of the tackle leaders going into for the NFL, and then just kind of disappeared when players needed him the most. So
yeah, and to the second part of the question, he played all of the meaningful snaps. He did come out at the end during garbage time. So like once they were up 37-7 in the fourth, like Henley was off the field. So
if you're a box score looker, you'll look at that and be like, oh, that's why he didn't get all the sacks. But when you take a look at the snaps that he didn't play is why, so that'll be something to dig a little deeper into. I'm sure there'll be an article or two written about that this week somewhere along the space. So fantasy sports, hopefully we're not chasing points after not starting Henley, but if we are, I'll see what we can do. I need to start 2 with Cashman, Oluwakan, Gifford, Wyndham, or Zaire Franklin. So pretty solid options here for you. I'm going to go Oluwakan and Franklin pretty wholeheartedly here.
Yep. No arguments, no concerns for me on those two.
Yep. Raider Nation got another one here for us. Need a full PPR super flex play. Aiden O'Connell, Jerry Jeudy, or Nick Westbrook. All I do is catch touchdowns at Kine. It's hard not to start a quarterback.
It is.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go. Yeah, I mean, I'm exactly with you, and it's not an awful matchup at all, right? Like the Saints they were a respectable defense earlier. They've dealt with some injuries. It's been a long season, but I mean, to me, you're starting AOC here. Jeudy, if Jeudy had Jameis, I'd consider it. Westbrook, Akine, there's Chig stepped up here lately. Tyjae Spears stepped up lately. Still have Calvin Ridley, so I get he's been grabbing touchdowns like crazy here the second half of the season since Hopkins left, but it's AOC. I mean, that's your better floor. That's your better upside. Yes, outcomes could be one of those surpasses him, but I think that's very unlikely.
Yep. Yeah, it's almost like one of those like unwritten rules with, super flex, unless it's did an amazing job drafting and hitting on a lot of like, wide receivers or something like that. Like it almost has to be the quarterback there. Yep. Harry's got a couple options here at the offensive side. He's got Rashee White, Devontae Smith, Thielen, Amir Abdullah, Kendre Miller, or Bigsby. Need to pick 2 here. White is in for me just because he's still getting a healthy amount of looks even with Bucky Irvin there, unless they totally send him to the bench after that costly fumble at the end of the last game, which I can't see happening. So White is there for me. And then, if Hurts was under center, it would be Devontae Smith pretty easily for me. But obviously he's not. So then Thielen becomes an intriguing play for me. He's definitely targeted by Young. Actually, I'm going to probably go White and Thielen here for me.
Yeah, I think I'm with you for the most part. I mean, it's definitely in the Rashad White, Devontae Smith, Adam Thielen discussion for the two. It really comes down to, is this half point? Is this full point? Is this standard? I think standard, I like Smith and Thielen. Half point, I like White and Thielen. Full, I think it's still White and Thielen. So that's really kind of the tiebreaker for me, just because Smith can one play an out route and just boom, he's got 60 yards and a score, right? So even with Kenny Pickett, that's just Devontae Smith has that talent. But assuming that there's some sort of PPR bonus here, it's White and Thielen.
Yep, with you. Gucci Flips I have the Colts defense. Do I start Kenny Moore or start Delpit at defensive back?
The same thing with talking about wide receiver, quarterback earlier. I love the stack idea, Gucci. Moore's played well. He's obviously made some big plays recently too. So I know the Jags offense is iffy, but Mac Jones is still prone to make mistakes, I think. And I think Kenny Moore does enough to help in the run game for some bonus there as well. So
yeah,
I like the Delpit matchup personally, but I like the strategy and the call out here for Moore in the Colts defense.
Do you have any leagues, Jake, where you start a team defense and IDP players?
I've not, and actually on 9 years of playing IDP, I just heard about it like 3 years ago where people do that. I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool, right? I mean, it's a different way to do it. Because it adds just another layer of that complexity, right? So it's like, oh, I want a defense that maybe keeps teams low scoring for those bonuses, right? But they don't have a lot of big play upside or something, right? So you can interject all kinds of different strategy around that, and it's fun. Any way to play is fun as long as you understand the rules and how to apply it. So, yeah.
Have you ever played in a league with a punter?
One time played in a league with a head coach too before.
That was going to be my offensive line.
I mean, I've done all 22, right? So you get the offensive line scoring, but not like as a unit. No.
Okay. All right.
I'm sick, man. I'm a degenerate.
That's psychotic. That's a whole new level. We're gonna have to talk about our friendship after the show here. So
we're gonna have an intervention.
Yes, yeah. Mike Duquesne needs to start 2 in a standard league: London, Thielen, Debo, McMillan, or Ridley. So touchdown only. Do you think Debo has another week of magic in him?
I'm trying to remember. Is Guerrero in?
He is no injury designation.
No, I don't like Debo. Then I only liked him last week because I think he got more use in the run game, right? And then he has touchdown upside there because he's shown he can make some plays there. So I'm not a big Debo fan. It's probably London and Thielen for me. I know Ridley has big play upside. You know, he can catch a nice 30-yard pass downfield for a touchdown or couple big plays like that. But McMillan feels very touchdown dependent still to me. Yeah, I would go London and Thielen would be mine.
Yep. I'm with you there for Mike. Good luck, Mike.
Oh, actually Guerrero. Oh, wait, that's week 16. I'm a goofball. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I just saw that yesterday that he was free of designation.
No, you're exactly right.
Michael's got a question here. Who has the best sack potential? DeForest Buckner, Sack Sealer, or Jeffrey Simmons?
The answer here is yes.
Yes,
these are all plus matchups in my mind, right? You know, the Giants 29% pressure rate allowed, 15% sack conversion. Over the Browns are 29% pressure rate, 14% sack conversion. And then who do the Titans have? Why am I blanking here?
The Titans get the Jags.
The Jags, and there's maybe not as massively plus, but yeah, 21% pressure rate, which is lower, but they convert at a high rate when they do allow pressures at 15% to a sack. So, and I think Jeffrey Simmons is maybe the best talent out of all of those three, and that's saying something because DeForest Buckner's dang good too. So, oh gosh, if I had to say one was better over the other, I'd probably go DeForest Buckner, just because the interior of that Giants line is pretty weak overall. So
you're going Buckner. I'm going to stick with the hot hand and Zach Sack Sealer. So can't bet against him. He's got the name. He's got the moniker. So
yep.
Good luck to you, Michael. Johnny D, do you drop the Vikings defense against the Packers for the Bucks versus the Carolina Panthers, or the Raiders versus the Saints?
I mean, I would strongly consider the Raiders at that point. I think absolute worst case, you're looking at the Saints end up putting up 17, 20, 21 points, absolute worst case, right? Like, and I just don't think that's the case. I think you're in a slugfest of who can be the crummier team there, but still manage to put up a few points. So
we can't have another 6-3 game this week, Jake. It just can't happen.
Challenge accepted. Yeah, I don't know. I like Caleb Chason. I like Tyree Wilson. You know, they got some playmakers there. Robert Wilson and Trayvon Merrick, too, are guys that I think can add something in the big play columns too, to try and help boost that scoring. So you're not just, yay, the Saints only scored 10. Like, So I know the Bucks. Yeah, the Bucks could have a big game against Carolina potentially, but I don't know. Bryce Young looks better. I don't see a lot of sacks or a lot of turnovers there either. So they're pretty minimal games. I mean, the Vikings have been big play all year, so there is an outcome where they just shut down the Packers based on big plays, but I don't see that as a very, very likely outcome at all. So I'm with the Raiders.
I'm with you too. The Vikings just have a chance to have, like, the Packers could put up a big number, way more than 17. So
yep,
I'm with you. Ray team needs to pick two of these between Neighbors, Spears, and Drake London.
Spears and Neighbors stand out right away to me.
Same. Yep. Those were my two calls. A lot of upside there with those two players. So
yep.
Spears or Thielen?
Spears. The guy scored 20 plus points, I feel like, in most league scoring the last 2 weeks while Pollard was healthy.
Yep. So on Ray's question, that was in a half-point PPR. Does that change your? No, it's still Spears and Drake,
unless it's points per receptions from Penix. Like, I like Neighbors and Spears better.
Spears and Neighbors, yeah. Sorry, Spears and Neighbors. All right. Hey, Antonio, how are you, sir? See, you got a couple questions coming on in. We'll get to those in just a second. Ecto Cooler Jason is here. Happy New Year's, guys. Need two safeties out of Nick Cross, Travion Morrig, Dane Belton, or Jeremy Chin. So Nick Cross is kind of an auto start this season for us. He's been a fantastic play. So then it brings us to who is the second fiddler there.
All right, we got Merrigs going against the Saints. Dane Belton against the Colts, or Jeremy Chin against the Falcons. Chin's had a little bit of a resurgence this year. I do like that, strong usage. For me, it's between him and Belton. Merrick, I do worry a little bit that, like we've talked about before, Saints with Rattler. I mean, we saw what little offense they could muster and plays they could run against the Packers, which is a very good defense. But that's a very real concern about those outcomes. I like Belton just to have better volume in terms of comparing those two. But Chin, gosh, I'm torn between Belton and Chin personally. I don't know. I maybe lean Belton slightly.
I think I'm leaning Belton with the matchup.
Yeah.
I think it's more in his realm to bounce or regress more to that 14-point game, 14 tackle game, than it is the 5 tackle game we saw out of him last week. So
right,
you got that super high safe floor and cross, so we can kind of gamble a little bit with our second option here. And I think Belton is a really good option to gamble on this week. Good luck to you, Jason. Appreciate the questions all season long. Jake, we're about 25 minutes left in the show here today. So we're going to kind of zip through the rest of these questions as quick as we can. So Michael made the right decision in starting Brandon Jones in his flex spot. He made the wrong decision, though, with Henry Two Toes. Need to choose between Levante David and EJ Speed with his last flex spot. So this might be made for you if EJ Speed is ruled out ahead of the noon games. But assuming they both play, Jake, do you have a preference on Speed or David here?
David, like 52-48. Like, I mean, it's a close one, but I like David, just his matchup slightly better.
The other piece of that, too, is a risk of re-injury. Like we saw, Elijah Molden yesterday with his knee go out and test it and then end up getting shut down on multiple plays and end up having to get carted off. So the safe play there is with David. Like we mentioned before, Carolina's offense is going to be a little bit better than it was before. I know that Chuba Hubbard's not in there to kind of keep that running game going, but I still think that David is a safer play here. Ray team is back. He's got a question. Spears, Neighbors, Drake, Achane pick 2.5-point PPR.
Spears, Achane.
So for me, it's going to be, the two running backs. Yeah.
Yep. Just they're both strong enough pass catchers that they should balance or overcome whatever Neighbors and Drake can do.
All right. Mr. Antonio has a question. He's down 180-50, but he has 5 less players to play. Looking for some upside. Can I flex Burns with Flacco playing or Mossa, leaning Mossa?
So in that Giants Colts matchup.
Oh, sure. Looking. Okay. Yeah. Unless there's some crazy scoring for sacks and stuff like that, I'm probably going to lean the linebacker here just if you need to chase points. I just think that, it is more of a realistic possibility that Mossock is able to rack up more tackles than Burns is to get sacks. So,
yeah, yep. I just lean on Flacco's experience here to not lean into a 2, 3, 4, 5 sack game from someone else on the Giants side, right? So Flacco could definitely go down. He's not mobile, but I think Darius is the right play and the safer play overall.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then Antonio was agreeing with us on our comment when we were talking about Edwards and stuff like that. So we appreciate that. Thank you. Bobby needs to know between Thielen or McMillan this week. So we kind of discussed Thielen quite a bit today. Either if it's PPR or standard scoring, we kind of like his matchup this week. And McMillan is kind of like boom or bust there. So I'm still on the Thielen train. It's more than a Thielen.
I could see McMillan if it's no PPR bonus, right? Because I just think the touchdown upside might be a little greater with him. But half point, full point PPR, I'd 100% Thielen.
Yep. Barkley, Jacobs, Evans, Adams, Taylor, Gibbs.
Anytime touchdown.
Anytime touchdown. Yeah.
I think that they're just looking for that. I mean, Gibbs is, to me, right? I mean, Jacobs, I'd feel better if it wasn't the Vikings and their run defense. Gibbs is just, they just force feed him the ball. I don't know the lines on these, right? Like I don't know what we're getting for numbers.
If I was picking two, I would probably pick Gibbs and Barkley just with the roles in the offense, and then with the backup quarterback in Philadelphia, I think they're gonna lean on Barkley. They even know that it was coming last week, and then they still couldn't stop it. So
yeah, I'm down with Adams too, just because the whole narrative of the 500th touchdown and blah blah blah. So those are three I'd be willing to put. I put a $5 down on a 3-leg parlay there for those three.
Kind of interesting nugget here. Antonio just kind of don't go with the Raiders D. They're not good on the road, and their flight just got into New Orleans too. So I don't know if that was a weather related thing. So obviously that's pretty interesting. So yeah, it's funny that the NFL didn't push that back to flex it to a 3:00 game or something like that.
Right? Like how is a team supposed to get out there and do anything? That's a great call,
right,
Antonio.
Crazy. Yeah, or even flex it to a double Monday night game like they've shown in the past. So that's interesting. We'll have to do some reading on that one. So yeah, like you said, Jake, with the not knowing the odds and stuff like that with those the touchdown, Gibbs seems like a lock for one. Barkley seems like a lock for one. You like the Adams for one?
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a possibility that Denzel Perryman was in a Henley jersey. So Perryman was inactive yesterday. So there's a chance. We've never seen both of them in the room at the same time. So definitely a chance. So some guy named Bobby Reynolds has a question here. Start Nixon McKinley in what could be a shootout with Minnesota, or throw in Chin or Melifanu in at defensive back. Thanks, fellas. Big fan of the show. Long time listener. Yellow.
No,
so,
I mean, go ahead.
Jake, do you ever have a preference of not starting two guys from the same team, like whether that's offensively or defensively, or is that not a thing?
It's definitely a consideration in average situations, right? But I mean, if you have teams that show that don't matter, so offensive side, right? T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, right? Like they combined, they scored 60 PPR fantasy points last night. EJ Speed and Zaire Franklin, right? I would happily roster both and start both on pretty much every week, right? But on the average situation, I mean, I generally tend to avoid it, unless matchup really dictates it's a plus situation for both.
So here with Bobby's question about, do we start both Packers defensive backs because we're going to get the points, out of them?
Yeah.
Or do we kind of pivot? And then if we do pivot, who are we pivoting off of? Because Nixon's been playing extremely well, especially if it's a return league.
Yep.
You know,
It's Bobby, so you know it is.
Okay, yes, true. Yes, consider the source. Yep. So, are you having a strong enough feeling for Chin or Melifanu? If it is one of the two, it's Chin for me. But then I have a hard time like which of those two do I sit from the Packers? So,
Yep. Yeah, it's 100% that for me, right? Like I am nervous that Jacobs does enough on the offensive side to slow the game down at times, limiting Nixon and McKinney's volume. I have concern that, between Nixon and McKinney, I wouldn't know who is the right one in that situation. Nixon's probably the safer one. McKinney's probably the slightly higher upside. But if we're into the situation where we got to make a decision, which that's why we're here, I'd probably go Nixon and Chin. But it's not by a lot. Like they're great opportunities for both, because McKinney, I mean, Darnold is mistake prone, and he's fine throwing a what the heck ball down the sideline to Addison or Jefferson, which is McKinney has shown to feast on all year, right? So I like Nixon and Chin slightly as my choice here.
Yeah, and I'm with you for the same reasons. McKinney with the big play, obviously with all the interceptions and stuff, that's kind of tapered off here in the second half of the season. I like Nixon's usage.
And this is assuming return,
and I do like to
yards as well.
Yeah, it's soon yard. Yeah, and I like to diversify my lineup just a little bit, so I don't put all my eggs in one basket. So I'm going to go with Nixon and Chin with you for that reason. So good luck to you,
Enjoy
Mr.
your
Reynolds.
championship.
Appreciate.
I expect a thank you letter.
Yeah, Quincy needs to start two of these. Need Debo, Jennings, McMillan, or Thielen here. Between those, needing two of them.
Thielen.
Jennings is in for sure for me.
So then I'd lean Thielen.
I think I'm going to go Jennings and Thielen.
Yep.
Sorry, Jake. What'd you say?
Same thing. 100% agree with you. I was closer on Jennings and McMillan, right? So you love Jennings. I love Thielen out of that list. And we both agree it's those two in general. McMillan was a little bit closer for Jennings for me, but I still would go Jennings.
One more. Appreciate you guys. Need two defensive backs. Trevion Morrig, Uga Amadi, or Talanoa Hufunga. Amadi's in for sure. He's just been playing too good, too late. Playing ideal snap usage as well in alignment. The question is, the San Francisco got nothing to play for. Are we in a situation where, like, are they kicking the can down the road to next season?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's too much pride on that side of the ball, though.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Hufanga's had okay utilization, right? Like 10 in the box last week, 21, 17, not much on the line or in the slot. And was it last week, 2 weeks ago? Is he still playing with his hand taped up like a club? Because he had one play a couple of weeks ago where it hit him right in his hand and club, and he dropped it, right? Like that would have been a pick. I don't know if those types of things come into play at all. Maybe it's better for forced fumbles or knocking people out like a mace. I don't know. But to me, I like Umadi
on there.
right? I like Umadi and Merrick. I think I like him overall better. The only one with Umadi that gives me a little concern is the Raiders don't use a lot of 11 personnel, which is where you see your heavy slot defender utilization. But I just think Umadi's done enough that he's going to be out there to help out with Bowers and other opportunities. So I think it's Merrick and Umadi for me.
Same. Warcloud needs two. Mossa, Spillane, Sherwood, Lugafau, Speed, or Hicks. Sorry about the ambiguous question earlier. I got Henley in two championship lineups. Join the club. There'll be a support group starting next week.
I got one of them. Jeff's got one of them. Yeah. So let us know when we're meeting.
Yep. Yeah. We'll all sit in a circle with folding chairs and
right. But kudos to you, Warcloud. You clearly pay attention, right? That you've built out this strong of a linebacker room this late in the season, and that's why you're in a championship. This is a really good question here. God, I gotta take a look at some things here.
Maybe it's easier if we peel away some of these that we aren't, so Lufau is awesome, but better options. Hicks is great, but better options. A healthy Speed I would have no doubt, right?
Yep.
So then we're kind of left with those other ones. Spillane is probably a for sure in for me, just based on volume.
Yep. I know it's a less than ideal matchup against a weak Saints, right? So do they sustain it? But I think it's just something where I don't know. Spillane's shown so much, right? And he doesn't leave extra stuff on the bone, right? Like he gets what's given to him. So I think I'm Spillane.
Spillane Sherwood. Spillane Sherwood for me.
If you feel good about speed coming up to game time here and you want to go with speed, I could see speed over maybe Spillane, but I still like Spillane and Sherwood as my 1 and 2 here.
Yeah, the guys coming off an injury, I like to see it a week, and especially in championship week, I would hate to say start a guy and then all of a sudden, like, 4 plays in, he's getting carted off, and then you
100%.
just see your championship roll out. And anybody can get injured on any play, but just players that are maybe more injury prone or are coming off an injury probably try to avoid. So. Philip V needs a team defensive question. Do we go with the Raiders or the Commanders? And I know Antonio kind of gave us a little nugget here about the Raiders team.
Yeah.
Commanders going up against the
Falcons
tonight. So what do you think here, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, if the Raiders are having all these logistical issues, I think the Commanders defense is the right one, right? They have Jonathan Allen, they have Jerzon Newton, they have Deron Payne along that front. I know I've said the Falcons have a good offensive line, but when you're talking about just team wise, I think that they have enough talent there in Luvu too, right, getting after the passer, that I think that they can make some hay in terms of what we need for our fantasy here.
Got a question here coming off of Twitter here, Jake. Do you go with Ugo Amadi or Chop Robinson this week? Kind of a tough question with two different positions. Sacks are worth 3 points. Tackles are worth 1. So do we like Amadi's tackle floor higher than Chop Robinson trying to get a sack here?
Yeah, I think the sack scoring is just not enough for me to like that. It's a very good matchup for him, and you know what, Chop could go out and have 3 sacks and easily surpass whatever Amadi could do on a tackle floor. I think that is within the range of outcomes. I just think the greater range of outcome is Amadi racking up 6-7 tackles and having a couple, maybe a pass breakup or 2, or maybe even obviously the big play in the passing game with an interception. He's also got pass rush upside. The Saints love to blitz from the slot roll too at times, so he usually gets a pass rush opportunity or 2 a game. So yeah, if the sacks were up a little higher in scoring, maybe closer to 5-6, I think then I could lean into Chop Robinson more. I mean, personally, I'd like to see it even higher than that, but the scoring is just not adjusted to the point where I would play Robinson in that situation.
Dylan's got a championship full PPR. Sorry for so many questions. 1 flex. Alexander Madison or Abdullah?
Should we just break it down?
PPR, I'm going
up. Yeah. Yep, I'm with you. Sorry.
Yep, I'm going Abdullah there. At tight end, Chig or Ertz? I'm going Ertz there.
Ooh, I lean Chig, but not by much. So if you got some sort of stack or something, or roster consideration, Ertz I think is a fine option still too.
Sure. Wide receivers, Olamo Zakakis or Brandon Cooks. Without CeeDee Lamb is Cooks de facto.
Yep.
And then picking one of the defenses, Miami or Philly defense this week. So Miami, we're seeing them taking on the Browns, which should be a pretty low scoring affair. Or do we got Philly versus the
I like Miami.
Cowboys? Yep.
Miami's got the safe floor, and they've got enough for an upside still too.
Sticking on the defensive side, team defense, Tampa Bay or Buffalo? Tampa versus Carolina, Buffalo versus the Jets.
Buffalo probably. Jets slow the games down. They tend to. I just don't see that one hitting the over. So I think that's a very likely scenario where the Jets just don't put up a ton of points.
And then Vegas versus Cleveland defense in the last one here.
I mean, if Tua is truly out, I guess you could lean into Cleveland. I know Las Vegas is having some logistical issues again, but I don't know if Tua's out there, I can't see starting Cleveland defense. I would be very nervous.
All right. Got about 10 minutes left here, Jake. So we're just going to try to get in all these questions that we can to help everyone out. Maine has a question on a linebackers. We've got 4 options here: Lufau, Darius Mawsaw, Cashman, or Windman.
Cashman, Masao, Lufau, Windman. That's my order.
That would be how I would rank them as well. Yes. So good luck to you, Maine. Don't go Raiders. Good morning, gents. Good to see you, Jake. Happy holidays from Roguru. Yeah, so interesting. A lot of bad weather on the East Coast the game, so wind, rain, that kind of stuff. So I know that the rain doesn't really affect the plays too much. It's more the wind, and if it gets over like that 25-mile-an-hour gust and stuff like that, that's when it can happen.
Which is his next comment.
Yeah. Oh, that
great minds.
Yeah, Tyreek's got a lot of strikes against him. Possibly without Tua, his hand injury. Just hasn't been getting it done. Now we throw in the weather. It's just like, for a player that you drafted, like you said, Jake, probably first round, early second round to be a top 6, top 7 wide receiver has just been tough. So,
oh God, yeah, he did.
Yeah, he'll be another one in the support group. Yeah, it's tough too because a player that has gotten so many managers to the championship, and then to not perform at all is just soul crushing, right?
Right.
So. Flacco or Bryce Young that hurts, Frankie.
Scoring matters a little bit, I guess, to me, like in the sense that like Flacco can easily throw for 2-3 touchdowns. Bryce Young could potentially do that, but he's also only going to probably throw for 200 yards, right? I just don't. Flacco could put up 300 yards and 350 yards. Is there big penalties for interceptions and stuff like that? So it's a good question. It's very close. Without knowing some of that information, to me, I lean Flacco. I just think that he does a good enough job attacking downfield, and he has A.D. Mitchell, and he has Josh Downs that I definitely could see, a 250 and 2 or 250 and 3 from Flacco, pretty within the range of outcomes.
So devil's advocate here, Jake. So the Giants are playing they don't want to win. They don't want the first round pick, or they want to keep the first overall pick.
Yeah.
Indianapolis isn't going to have to probably do a lot to win this one. So do we see a lot of run? Do we see a lot of running game with the Colts in this one? Whereas the game is probably going to be a little more competitive with Tampa Bay and Carolina. Obviously, Carolina doesn't have anything to play for, but I think that they're a trending
divisional
offense and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think the way you beat
and
the way you beat the Buccaneers is through the pass. So I totally get where you're coming from. Like I said, that's why it's close to me. I still like Flacco better than Bryce Young, I guess.
Okay.
I wish I could give you better analysis than that.
Yeah. Roger grabbed Chop off the waiver and playing him for the upside. So, that's what we had talked about with the earlier question, with the Twitter question. Thanks. Raiders flight left at 7 p.m. Saturday. So they're getting in super late. Yeah. So I don't know what that's probably like a 3-4 hour flight, getting in or after midnight, probably with the time zone changes. That's crazy.
No.
It's, if it would be any other marquee matchup or any other team, the NFL probably would step in, but they're like, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Warcloud's got one. Sherwood was on the waiver wire. I don't know what kind of league that's in, but hey, are we going to go Sherwood or Foye for that 3-point bonus for the 10 tackles? Or are we still like Foye?
That's close, man. That's close, which shows you the value that was sitting out on the waiver wire, in my opinion.
Yes.
I'm gonna defer to you on this one. I'm struggling.
I'm probably gonna stick with Foye. Sherwood had a couple down weeks. Foyer's had more consistency of hitting that high water mark with the 10-point combined tackles. I know he's had a
Sherwood's
couple.
actually hit it 6 times this year.
How recently has he been hitting it? Like, I thought he had a
week
couple.
14 was his last one. He had 9 and 8 in 15 and 16. So he's just off the pace.
And last time he played Buffalo, he had 13 tackles. So,
Oh, I see 11. I'm using PFF. I'm not sure. Maybe you're using Pro Football.
Okay.
Reference.
All right. I don't think there's a wrong answer, with these guys, right?
Until we look at the box score.
Right. And it's easy to look on Monday. If we look at Mr. Woolert's matchup, he's got Foyer as number 5 linebacker, Sherwood is 7. So
that's why we're splitting hairs here, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I think I go Sherwood slightly. I mean, we're talking
better offense.
Yeah, 50.5% to 49.5% here. I mean, I wish I could give you more confidence, War Clouds, but I mean, yeah, Sherwood very, very slightly. I mean, unless it's going to cost you, like, if this is some sort of keeper or dynasty, right? Like, you have to give up truly some other talent to get Sherwood onto your roster. That would be like the deciding factor for me. If this is just straight redraft, like I said, very, very slightly lean Sherwood.
Yeah, I'm going to go Sherwood here too. Just playing against a better offense. Foye is going to be going up against the Titans, who we don't know that offense as well, but we know Buffalo's going to be on the field. So, Debo or Tracy in a standard league? Whew.
Tracy.
Volume
I'm just out on Debo at this point. So.
Garrett Wilson, Jaden Reed, 53.5 yards. Should I add Darnell Mooney, 51.5 yards with Jameson, 51.5? So this must be some prop in here.
Yep.
I wish I knew this stuff a little better than just focus so heavily on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson scares me as far as like any bet with him.
Yeah, I mean that's basically his line the last 2 weeks, right? With 6 targets and 7 targets. I mean that one feels like a coin flip to me for sure.
Yeah.
I mean the game script should be, I think, a positive one, which if you really wanted to, you could go for it there.
Aiden
Reed
has just disappeared, is in the offense all the time.
And if that's receiving yards, that's not receiving rushing for Reed. I'm probably taking the under on both of those guys. Or no, I'm taking the under on Reed, excuse me. I'd be willing to take the over on Garrett. Reed just scares me too, right? Because Watson has a designation, but it's questionable. Wixlow's out there. Like there are too many options in that offense to feel good about that high of a line, even in a positive passing matchup. And then Mooney, again, it's just he looked good with Penix. I struggle to feel confident betting that line myself, but I could see taking the over there. And Jameson against the Niners.
I'd probably take the over on that one. All it takes is one play for him to do that.
Right. But what does the game script look like too? I mean, he's seeing the targets. Yeah, I mean, 64 yards, 28 yards, 80 yards, 37 yards, 143 yards. I mean, I don't know enough about that matchup in the passing attack to feel confident on those. Sorry, young native.
Yep. Uncle Fresh, Breece Hall, or Spears this week. So Spears has been on a tear. Breece Hall has been kind of lackluster the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, as weird as it sounds, right? Same thing, right? We were talking about, do we Tyreek or Myers? I mean, to me, this is Spears. He's going to have the heavy dose of the backfield. He's a pass catcher. Like
MDH has a super flex, Mason Rudolph or Flacco at super flex at the spot.
I mean, if you have any correlation on your team, right? You got Calvin Ridley, you got Josh Downs, you got Tajay Spears or something like. I could see going for the stack, but I mean, in a vacuum or no correlation, I slightly lean Flacco.
Yeah, I'm going to go Flacco there as well. And then on the defensive tackle, I'm going to go Payne just because Quinnen just has not done anything all year. He's been banged up.
Yep, exactly.
One tackle in the last 3 games. So one tackle in each of the last 3 games, excuse me. So,
yep.
And a perfect comment to end the show on. Thanks for all your help this season. So thank you everyone for all the questions all season long. Hopefully we got you to your fantasy football championships. Hopefully we help you bring home that title. We will be back next week in an abbreviated version, just depending on any of those people like Jake who play in some psychopaths 18-week leagues where you're starting everyone and stuff like that, starting a head coach and things like that. So Jake, I want to thank you not only for coming on this week, but coming on multiple weeks this season. I appreciate you and everything that you bring to the show. So have a fantastic new year.
You too, Jeff. Thanks for having me. Good luck in your matchups. I know we're both struggling a little bit in a couple of them, but hey, we'll do what we can, and we'll embrace the pain, and we'll be back next year to do it all again.
Yep. And just when we think, why are we doing this? We'll sign us up for some best ball in about a month or 2. So
exactly.
Yep. So last one here, Woody the Badger, only because it's a Packer question, we're getting it in. Tucker Kraft or Wicks in a full PPR this week?
Floor play, Kraft, boom play, home run play, Wicks.
Yeah, unless you got it's a tight end premium, I'm gonna go Wicks there too. So, all right. With that said, friends, thank you for joining in. Again, we'll be here next week. Appreciate all of you. Have a great New Year's, and we'll see you in 2025.